Welcome to the Hello FirstName podcast. The Hello FirstName podcast revolves around the term personalization and is brought to you by marketing author Rasmus Holing, founder of Omnichannel Institute and Chief Experience Officer at the marketing automation software company Agilic. The podcast is based on the book Hello FirstName. Each episode is based in turn on a chapter from the book, followed by a discussion of the very same chapter with an expert marketing practitioner in the following episode. As always, you can buy the book on Amazon or other bookstores. You can also choose to listen to it all for free on your favorite podcast service. You're also very welcome to download the abstract of the book for free, and all models, of course, are able to download. All downloads are sponsored by Agilic. I'll make sure to put a link to everything in the show notes. But you can always connect on LinkedIn, and I'll be happy to reply and help out. Hi there, and welcome to Hello FirstName podcast. This edition today, this episode is a discussion of Chap.2 in the book Hello FirstName, and namely the chapter regarding the problem of personalization. And in the studio today, to help us discuss this matter, I have Michala Svane. Welcome, Michala.
Thank you.
Michala, you can tell a lot about yourself, but just a brief intro is that Michala is currently the Chief Commercial Officer at Roskilde Festival. And she is a former CMO at Tivoli and also awarded CMO of the Year here in Denmark a few years ago. So, but I don't know, Michala, can you tell us briefly a few words about yourself?
Sure. Well, as you said, I'm working with the Roskilde Festival, and I've been working with digitalization, marketing, and business development for more than 20 years now, I think. So, and been working with the personalization and digital transformation in a lot of different organizations. So I enjoy working with the digitalization and creating new types of businesses.
Fantastic! I'm so glad to have you here.
Thank you.
So you were CMO at Tivoli, and can you tell us a bit about what you helped do for Tivoli? What was the transformation that you helped Tivoli go through?
Well, Tivoli is more than 175 years old, and like many other organizations, they wanted to work more with the digitalization, and especially the annual card that provides guests with an entry pass for the garden all year round. But the problem was that it hadn't been developed since 1845. So it expired each year, and by that Tivoli lost all their annual pass members.
Wow,
And
so to renew everybody every year, that sounds like a huge risk.
Exactly. And they had no idea who would renew their card and why. So we started a big digital transformation, first getting the annual pass to be on a digital subscription. And then by unifying all kinds of data, visit data, renewal data, all kinds of data, and then using early AI to try to predict which guests are going to churn and what could we do to prevent it. And so that was quite a transformation, and the revenue was increased by 20% in the first year.
Wow, amazing achievement, yeah. So I think everybody living in Copenhagen has experienced that. So the whole thing about going from the yearly pass that follows the seasons to an annual subscription, I know that a lot of companies have become inspired by that, especially FC Copenhagen that I'm also working with. They're having a huge success with that transition. And then actually before that, as I recall, you were working at one of the biggest workers' unions in Denmark,
Yeah.
HK. Can you tell a few words about that? Because as I recall, that's a very political environment, but
yeah.
yet there was still a lot of digital transformation going on.
Yeah, I was hired to drive the digital transformation and also to try to get a more commercial mindset in the organization. And that was also trying to teach the organization that the different kind of members that they had, and trying to provide different kind of services at the right time through the right channel. So it was building CRM, building marketing automation, renewing all websites, and trying to personalize the communication regarding to what profession the members had, their interest, their online behavior, their offline behavior, and that kind of thing. That's so
And then on to Roskilde Festival after Tivoli.
Yeah,
And I know you're going into actually a new job
yeah,
soon at a brewery. So from one party to the next, it sounds. But
exactly.
Roskilde Festival also we can see the orange stage in your background. I had the pleasure of visiting Roskilde Festival this year,
Yeah.
and even for an old guy like me, it was extremely fun, and everything seemed extremely well organized, I must say. So, wow, yeah, kudos for that. What did you do? You were not for many years in Roskilde Festival, but what did you help Roskilde Festival achieve?
Well, Roskilde had that problem that they didn't know the participants because they don't have the ticket sales. It's a
Ah,
Ticketmaster, so they have no data on the participants, and they wanted to engage all the fans of Roskilde Festival more than 8 days a year. So
makes
we
sense.
and they created we have an app, and it was a festival app, and if after each festival the app was discarded, and then they would develop a new app next year. I've been building a foundation for trying to get more customer insights and creating actionable insights. So we launched a new website so that we can sell all other things than tickets, like camping gear, beer for the festival,
Yeah.
phone chargers, stuff like that. Building a profile so that the participants can create a profile and make themselves known,
Mm.
and creating some marketing automation so to try to create a more seamless experience for the participants.
Also
And
a full year membership, as I
uh, uh,
recall.
actually, yes, we created a full year membership called Orange Orbit so that the relationship with the festival doesn't have to stop with the festival itself ending. So you can join Orange Orbit and be a participant all year, like helping us in developing the festival. What should we
Interesting.
call our stages? What kind of music do you want? Get closer to our music bookers, learn about how they book artists and why, and so you can be in the orange feeling all year round.
Great. All right. Let's. I don't know. You're moving to Royal Unibrew, as I
Yeah,
recall, and
yeah,
that's going to be very interesting to follow you and your career there. I promise to drink lots of beer
yeah. I'll promise.
and soda
Oh yeah, of
and
course.
one. So so the reason that we're having this podcast is because we're going to discuss the topic of the problem of personalization, and it does sound like you've been working with many forms of personalization over the years, actually. And actually, the dilemma, or the maybe I could say even the whole reasoning for doing the book, was that I experienced a large amount of confusion around the term personalization. So you would have some arguing that they were working with personalization when they were doing advertising and campaigns, and you would have so they were, and some would say that would only be segmentation, but that's for another chapter. Uh, but some would say that if I show different ads to different people, that's personalization. And then you would have the people who are doing email marketing, or doing like parameterized Hello FirstName personalization or marketing automation. They will be looking at that and they'll be frowning a little and saying, okay, I don't get this because no one can see that's personalized. You're just showing these ads to those people and these ads to those people. I don't see the Hello FirstName. I don't see the parameterization. You must be getting it all wrong. However, they all got their paycheck for something that said personalization, and when they were doing invoices, it said personalization. So this like internal argument between at least those two branches, and then come the third branch being the ones that like the e-commerce managers, or the website managers who are working, for instance, with news articles. So they would be looking into very much the on-site personalization in terms of product recommendations or article recommendations, or even if you go to Netflix or HBO or your streaming services, the all the content feeds you have there, and how you're working with personalization in that matter. I don't know, do you recognize from your line of work and your work history these three tribes of marketers, so to speak?
Indeed, I do. I think of personalization like an philosophy or Kan vi cut den der?
Yeah.
Indeed, I do. I think I think of personalization like a company philosophy, and if we could agree upon that you want to be as relevant as possible to your customers, then you can't disagree on personalization. And the different branches that you describe in your book are just, to me, different tools in the big toolbox called personalization. I think there's a fourth branch that you're missing, or at least hopefully we are developing into as marketeers. We could call it experience marketing, where marketing step out of just taking responsibility for the classic marketing channels and taking responsibility for the entire guest journey. You might argue that branch 3 will be working into that, but marketeers have to create relevant and personalized experience for their customers, even though if it's in a department that's not usually that's not marketing, even if it's billing or customer service. And so I believe that marketeers should work with the entire guest journey and creating moments that matter for all touch points.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I think we're suffering a bit from the fact that a lot of these triggered flows and these triggered communications will often be at first launched by the marketing department and owned by them, but when you then come to a certain level of maturity, you realize that it doesn't help trying to send the right offer to someone who are extremely dissatisfied or unsatisfied. And if you fail to deliver the goods at a specific time, offer the right services, and last mile delivery is bad, then I mean you're not really up for buying anything else. Exactly. So it's actually, I'm glad you mentioned it, because it's actually covered in the last part of the book, where I have the pyramid of personalization, and at the highest maturity level is where you actually go beyond marketing, and where you say, okay, this is not about getting the next best offer across to a customer. It's not only about getting the next best action across to the individual end customer. It's about delivering the next best experience. And as you say, that may not be marketing related at all. So that's so I totally agree with you on that. Would you say that you've been that you've had first-hand experience as a marketing leader with all the 3 disciplines here?
Yes, I think I work with all 3 ways of working with personalization. Some of them for acquisition purposes, for digital marketing and ad tech. Some for retention and loyalty, and others for customer satisfaction in the UX kind of experience. So I think I've been using different kinds of personalization in my work for different kinds of challenges or problems or ambitions.
Interesting. Have you also experienced the confusion about personalization? Because you must have, I mean, you've built quite a few teams around personalization. Have you experienced these times when people are talking about the same thing, but I mean, apparently, but they're actually meaning different things, using the same words to describe different things, or vice versa?
I'm not sure. I think I find the discussion around personalization a bit theoretical.
Yeah.
As a practitioner, I mean, we all work towards personalization, and we have different tools in how to achieve that. So I've had digital managers who have been working with ad tech and digital marketing to create segmented ads, and that's their kind of personalization to some degree. And I have had CRM managers, or loyalty managers working with hyper personalization because they are working with the existing customer database. So I believe it's all step on the roadmap, your digital roadmap towards personalization. So I don't think I've experienced any problems or discussions, just different ways of achieving the same thing.
Yeah.
And I don't think that there's no right or wrong. I mean, sometimes you can achieve just as much with with segmentation as you can with hyper personalization. So I believe the key word here is balance, and trying to find the right tool to the right problem according to your resources and budget. I've seen so many organizations trying to build spaceships and used all their resources in buying MarTech and building a great organization, doesn't have the organization to build the different content, and then ended up with the spaceship just collecting dust in the office.
Yeah, I was interviewing Stefan Kierkegaard from Metas, and he had the Formula One metaphor that if they would have a Formula One car sit there right outside of Metas, it would be really a waste of fine machinery, because first of all, he didn't believe that he could fit into it, and second, he had no idea whatsoever on how to drive it. And I think basically this is partly also due to the to the vendors, basically the tech vendors tend to sort of not be completely honest, or they so much want to get the license contract signed that they are not completely honest sometimes about what it actually takes to make it work, or they are oblivious to the fact of how much it actually takes from a organizational
It's like the Red Bull in marketing, that everybody wants to create the jump into space, and you go home from a vendor presentation and all inspired and want to create all this all this hyper personalization, but that you need to know that it can be fairly expensive to invest in this MarTech, and you have to balance the kind of personalization accordingly to your organization's development and resources.
All right, let's move a bit further. So let's focus now for a little time here on the campaign aspect of personalization. So a campaign being something that is coupled to a specific point in the yearly life cycle. So it could be summer, Christmas, the leading up to a Roskilde Festival, even something that is calendar controlled, whether it be on paid or earned media for that matter. So could you tell us about a campaign that you've been part of doing where you were using personalization, that you are the most proud of?
It's hard for me to find a specific campaign, because, as I said, I've been working with the big transformation, and I would say that I'm most proud of all the work in getting the board of directors on board, getting funding, building the organization, buying the tech. But if I should mention one campaign, I would say here at Roskilde, it's not live yet, but we've been working on creating the annual wheel with the of course the festival period, Roskilde Blues period, and then you have an infusion period, a warm-up period, and the festival again. So trying to organize all the different kind of communication that's been going on always was just as newsletters. So just helping the organization to structure the communication and the campaigns accordingly to these campaigns.
And then how would you, there must be different festival goers. I did notice that there was some people at the festival slightly younger than I, but also a lot of, I think my mother comes there actually once in a while. So are you doing these, because it sounds like this communication is very much coupled to the actual event, which kind of makes sense, and that's normally in the end of June or the beginning of July. And the Roskilde Blues is the period after that, and there's the excitement up to that. So of course you'd carry some relevance based on the fact that it's related to a point in time, related to the festival. But so you were segmenting, having different forms of the communication depending on whether you'd be old or young, or
your first time at the festival, and are you staying at our campsite? Are you not staying at our campsite? Are you a volunteer or not a volunteer?
Of course,
so different kind of segments, not age regarded, but of course we also look into what kind of music you were listening to on what you edited as your favorite in the app, so be able to make more recommendations to you to enhance the experience at the festival.
Yeah. And I think that's a place. So with campaigns, you're really getting the segments right, and of course the context and the timing.
Yeah,
Is
yeah.
probably what makes
I
them.
mean, some of the most difficult segments that I worked with was in Tivoli,
Yeah.
because as a Tivoli guest, you could change segment throughout the week. You could be there on Friday to listen to the Friday rock concert. You
Yeah.
could be there Saturday with your kids, being a parent, and you can be there on Monday eating a business lunch.
Yeah.
So there were so many different segments. So there we also used AI to predict what segment are you most likely
Yeah.
to be a part
Segment du
of.
jour, segment
Yeah,
of the day. Yeah.
of course, combining it with data that on your visit and so forth, and combining these insights with the seasonal campaigns, for
Yeah.
instance, Halloween, then we would know what kind of our offers during Halloween would
Yeah.
fit you as a guest.
Interesting. Yeah. So the same for marketing automation. Which kind of sort of automated life cycle communication program or flow even, or would you say
Um,
stands out from your career history?
I remember when I worked in the workers' union, as you mentioned, there was a student membership, a free membership for students, maybe with a student job,
Mhm.
and they received no communication at all. So when they tried to convert this free membership to a full-time membership, there was more than a 40% churn at the first contact.
Yeah.
So we developed a marketing automation program that followed the student throughout their studies,
Yeah.
and making them ready for a
Graduation.
full-time job, and helping them, telling them about their rights in a student job, and so forth, and that reduced churn dramatically, just by a continuous trigger flow throughout their studies.
Okay, so instead of hearing nothing at all from the union, then suddenly you would hear a lot, and you'd build up the relationship before the graduation was there, and then after graduation, then you already maybe as a student member you already had made up your mind, and you felt
Yeah,
you
I
had
mean,
an emotional connection with
you
him.
maybe received the digital newsletter, but other than that, you didn't hear anything from the union. So we started out by creating a welcoming process where the
Mm.
student could tell about what was their study, what were their dreams, what were their ambitions, and then we created a trigger flow that during to their future professions would help them become the talent of tomorrow. So
Yeah,
that was kind of the idea anyway.
beautiful. Also a nice thing to be working with and helping these young people become better versions of themselves.
Exactly.
So the last sort of branch of personalization here is really regarding on-site personalization, or primarily probably working with content feeds. It could be the shows from Roskilde Festival, or it could be the courses from HK, the Workers Union, or it could be, I don't know, the rides in Tivoli. How have you been working with on-site personalization and with sort of product recommendation-ish personalization?
In Tivoli, we created a next best action hierarchy so that we could see what if the guests hadn't done this, then we would like them to do this, and and we integrated that on the site and on their profile. So that was, I think it was fairly personalized. So if you haven't been to the garden in 6 months, then you would get this kind of information. But if you weren't already an annual pass holder, then you would get this information. And if you haven't finished your profile on the website, then so there's a very big hierarchy on content, different contents that could be on site.
Yeah.
In Hoko, we developed a tool where you could look up what kind of salary other people in your profession were
Interesting.
getting. and we used people's profession to market this on site. And of course, looking into, have you used this tool already? Then the next step, the next best action for you would be to contact HK or some kind of advisor to help you get a better salary. And if you haven't used this tool, then we used your profession just to ask the question, what are other people in your profession earning, and then use that on the side.
And if I know you right, that was also part of the marketing automation then. So you'll be using these hierarchies of messages and call to actions and be using them across channels. So if people want the website, that'd be part of the website personalization. And if they weren't using it and if they weren't coming to the website, you'd probably be prompting them and trying to reactivate them.
Exactly. And it was actually with this salary tool that we were having many discussions on how personalized should we be, when do we go creepy. So because we could use the exact salary for a person or for your profession in our digital marketing on Facebook and so forth, but we decided just to make it a more average kind of salary, not to, so that people wouldn't feel that they were that we are going creepy on them.
Okay. Great. So you've been working with all kinds of personalization, maybe not so much the e-commerce kind of personalization where you have 1 billion products and you need to sort them, but that would be I think we will definitely going to meet someone in the podcast later that have exact experience with that. So in the book, I'm writing a bit about the marketing skeptics, because there are, or the personalization skeptics. So I've encountered quite a few, actually I think it was the year when I was actually really going to like put the pen to the paper and write it. I came across this article saying that personalization is impossible and you should just forget about it. And I was slightly discouraged, I must say, because I was like really fired up and I wanted to do the book. And so someone saying that this is just impossible and it will never work. It sounds like you're a believer in personalization, but have you met these people as well that are like, oh, come on, it doesn't matter. We just get the offer out, and if the offer is good enough, people will come. Have you met the skeptics in your line of career?
Yeah, I have in different variations, primarily on the at the CFO's office when I presented him for the bill on some of the things we wanted to do.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes it's justified if you try to make things too complicated. Sometimes things don't have to be personalized to work. That's why you have to keep on testing what you do. So maybe sometimes I don't know, age or gender segmentation would have the same effect as a hyper personalization in some touch point or some campaign, and at other times personalization would make a huge difference, and that's why you have to map the customer journey and find the moments that matter where personalization really can play a difference. So I understand the criticism if you want to hyper personalize everything. Because the marketing department would have to triple or more than that to be able to create all that personalized content and to buy the tech that's necessary. And so I think again it's about the balance and trying to use the resources right at the right moment.
I think that actually leads on to the next question that I thought we could decide, we could discuss. So. When do you believe personalization is not a good idea?
I don't know if I can point to a specific touch point or a specific campaign, but when you do personalization, you have to be really transparent about how you use the data and respect the customer data. So I think you have to find the balance so you don't. So you respect the privacy of the customer and try to make it feel like a service and not a surveillance. So
if you're going too far would make it not be a good idea.
Yeah, so you just feel that, oh, this is creepy. How do they know this? And of course, I've been trying. I think we all have tried to buy a product. I know I bought a toilet seat online, and for the next
Thanks for
10
sharing.
weeks, I was retargeted with toilet seats, and I mean, I only need one.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So, I mean, yeah. So you have to use your knowledge of your customers and your empathy and your respect for your customers' privacy and data, and then
Actually, on a later show, we're going to have Tequila Harley Noble. She's a PhD, and she did a PhD on personalization. And she concluded after doing some studies that the Hello FirstName personalization alone doesn't work because people have been used to seeing that in the inbox, and once they open up the newsletter, they see it's exactly the same as everybody else is getting. It's not personal at all. And it's a bit like what you're saying here. Okay, so I looked at toilet seats, but now you're showing me 1 billion zillion toilet seats, and I'm frankly my gut is okay, and I don't need to go to the toilet that often, and I don't have that many toilets. So even though it's not a generic experience, and this is only for me, it's totally irrelevant.
Exactly. And I mean, I think she's right regarding that we go snowblind to some extent. So, but it's also expectations. So, what would happen if we remove that?
Yeah.
So, of course, this means that we are raising the bar for personalization because what was at one time it was really a big thing if you use the first name of the customers, and now you kind of expect it. Maybe you don't care. But
maybe you don't even notice anymore. I don't know.
Exactly. You probably don't notice, but maybe you would notice if it wasn't there. I don't know. So
you can also hide it sometimes because we were discussing this. I think I was discussing this with David Mannheim on a previous episode. The concept of implicit personalization, the fact that you don't always have to show it to the end customer that this is a very unique experience that they're getting that not everybody else is. So the implicit versus explicit.
Yeah.
When should you be? I could imagine if you were like for the workers' unions, there would be like delicate situations where people were maybe actually fired from their job, but they hadn't told it back home because they might get in economical trouble, and they wanted to, I don't know, make sure that their partner didn't become scared or frustrated or whatever. So that's maybe a place where you should like tread carefully and not be too explicit, but more make it look like a coincidence that suddenly this letter is about how you tell the difficult things at home.
Yes, exactly. And sometimes maybe you'll disguise the personalization in a, oh, this is just a newsletter regarding if you need advice regarding unemployment or finding a new job. Then please feel free to contact us. So I think both things are working. And you need to, like you say, tread carefully.
You can definitely be like too explicit on something that is either inappropriate or that you're not completely sure of, because data can also be. I think I'm thinking about a lot the customer journey as something where we don't really know what's going on in the customer journey. You have the customer out there, and all sorts of things are going on in their lives, and you can only guess. You can have the small data points that you have to make sort of qualified guesses as to what would be relevant or interesting for them, but you never really know. No. So don't paint yourself in a corner where you are like too explicit about stuff that you actually don't know about. There can be multiple reasons for people abandoning the basket or not going to Roskilde Festival. They could have died for that matter. I mean, or they could be whatever. There can be all sorts of reasons. They could become injured or handicapped, or there could be terrible things. And if you are not careful, or if you're trying to assuming or guessing those, then that's really bad.
I mean, in Hoko, we also work with combining the online data and the offline data with the customer satisfaction program. So if we had members that were really, really happy, we always want to activate the members. So use our services, because then we know that you will be less likely to churn. But when we combine it with the customer satisfaction data, then if it isn't broken, don't fix. So we had a segment where we said, well, they haven't been using our services, but they're really, really satisfied. So now we should be aware not to keep disturbing them if they really are glad with their current.
Exactly. Yeah. Why
Don't
do
call
that?
us, we'll call you kind of approach.
Yeah. All right. Also, there was the notion of, I mean, we're discussing when personalization is not a good idea. You mentioned the CFO and the skepticism and the thing like hyper personalization versus segmentation that could be equally good. I think the notion of is the juice worth the squeeze? Sometimes maybe you could squeeze it in a different way, or you don't have to squeeze it that much, or it will be too difficult to get those last drops of personalization juice out the lemon. Yeah.
I mean, I don't find that the CFO disagrees with personalization, or they are often also the owner of the digital transformation in an organization. But it's usually the bill that comes with it, and of course they always look for ways to optimize. So that is why as a marketeer you're often presented with demands to show the ROI fairly quickly in
It's a
investment.
pretty sound thing, I guess.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So, but sometimes working with customer satisfaction, of course, I mean, there's multiple analysis that shows that personalization does increase revenue and customer satisfaction. So, but of course, in the first years, you have to be patient. You have to create the tech stacks necessary to unify your data, to learn from the data and create these actionable insights, and then get them out, test, optimize, and then the results will come.
Yeah.
So it's a leap of faith.
Yeah, I think also because the value creation, I mean, if you're in e-commerce, obviously some personalization can give you value right here, here and now.
Yeah.
But if you are talking, what you're talking about here, like next best action and like
Yeah.
long-term customer satisfaction and so on, that's value that may not materialize this quarter or this month and whatever.
Exactly.
And how do you then get the accountability to show that to the CFO that this was in fact worth the squeeze? And maybe that it is intangible, and there is a part of it at least that is up to the leap of faith and you believing that this is the right thing to do because you care for the customers and you want to do the best errand.
Of course, we document that the customer lifetime value will increase and the spending will increase, but it's not as instant as if you only work with e-commerce, and you're building the relationship over time.
Yeah.
And the customer hopefully pays you back with their loyalty and with keeping their membership or choosing you the next time they need your service.
Great. And we're about to round off here. So last thing, Michala, as a consumer, what is your favorite example of when you've experienced a personalized customer experience with a brand or company that you engage with?
Well, I'm a fan of a lot of personalized experience, but I think I'm gonna use a very old school kind of personalization just to disrupt all the digitalization. I have a favorite bar with a favorite drink, and of course, unfortunately, the drink was taken off the menu. But they registered that this was my favorite drink. So every time I book a table at this bar, they make sure that the gin smash is back on the menu. So this is personalization in its most purest form, and they have a loyal customer in me.
That's a fantastic example. Okay, thank you so much for joining, Michala. A huge
Thank you for
pleasure,
having
and
me.
always nice discussing these topics with a seasoned, awarded CMO of the Year type like you. I'm very happy that you took the time. I know you're a very busy woman. And to the audience, I'll just say that remember that you can download the abstract. Remember that you can download all the models from the book. Make sure to put everything in the show notes. And there'll be a new episode next week where we'll be talking about the definition of personalization together with Tequila Harley Nobel. So thank you so much for joining. Michala, have a very nice day. And
You too. Good seeing you, Rasmus.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening in on this episode of Hello FirstName. Remember that all models and even a written abstract of the book are available for download. You'll find the link in the show notes. In our next episode, we'll cover Chapter 3, which is about defining personalization, and the many different forms it can take.